Hello students, lecture 58. In previous lecture we discussed about formal and informal credit situations and we compared them. So after that there is one question arises that it is given in the book in the form of a pie chart, that is who gets what, meaning how many people and who are those people who opt for formal credit and who opt for informal credit. So from that pie chart it is seen that about 80% or more people, rich and educated people, opt for formal credit. On the other hand, 85% people, those who are poor and illiterate, they opt for informal credit. Whereas it should be balanced. It should be balanced that formal credit, being low in rate of interest, should be given to more to the poor people. But contrary, it is that they are only getting or taking or applying for 15 to 20% of the formal credit, and 80 to 85% poor people go for informal credit. So behind this there are 3-4 reasons. Reason number 1, most of the poor people are living in villages. They are farmers, casual workers, landless farmers. So in villages there is a shortage of banks which provide formal credit. Number 2, these people are illiterate, so they hesitate more and more in paperwork, because in formal credit paperwork is more and paperwork is necessary. Third factor is collateral, guarantee. In formal credit, guarantee is must, and in most of the cases, in the case of poor people, there is a lack of collateral, there is lack of guarantee. So due to these reasons, they go for informal credit. Informal credit is available at doorstep. Money lenders, business groups, relatives, friends, they all are available nearby. Paperwork in them is very less. Paperwork in informal credit is very less. Sometimes collateral, whenever loan is taken from friends, relatives, then problem of collateral is also not there or sold out. So this is the reason. And on the other hand, for rich people and educated people, most of them are living in cities and towns. Since being educated, they do not hesitate in bank paperwork or so. Most of the banks are available in cities and towns, and they are that is the problem of collateral for them is not there. They can manage collateral very easily. So this is how sometime question is asked that who gets what and why, reason behind. So these reasons can be given forward. Next article is, that is need for formal credit. Formal credit is needed for national development. Justify the statement. Or what is the need of formal credit? So 3 points can be given for this, that formal credit is cheap in terms of rate of interest. In certain cases of the informal credit, rate of interest is so high that even rate becomes more than the principal amount. So people fail to repay it and they get into the situation of debt trap. So government must look into this and must provide more and more formal credit so that everybody could get and use it in the developmental aspect, because an individual's development is the national development. Second factor can be given is that cheap and affordable credit would lead to higher incomes. People when will take low rate interest credit, so more income. They can use this in variety of their needs, in variety of their programs. They could grow more crops, they could do small business, they could set up small scale industries which will help them to earn more and more profit. And third factor is that since there are no rules and regulation in informal credit, and it leads to many illegal cases. In informal, many illegal cases, that is beating, that people do not, when fail to return or they do not return, in that case sometimes murder cases are also reported. So in such a situation, government must look into these situations and control informal credit by providing more banking facilities in rural and countryside, so that such cases of the poor people, of criminal regarding cases, can be controlled. So this is how the formal credit is important in cities and towns and for the development of the people. Next article is self help group, or SHGs. Self help group. In recent years, people have tried out some new methods of saving money and helping each other. So the idea to organize rural poor, in particular in women, they develop their small groups known as self-help groups, and they collect their savings on the basis of their capacity from rupees 10 to 100 or so. So next point is a typical self-help group comprises of 15 to 20 members, and these members usually belong to the same neighborhood and from same economic background. Their saving per head varies from, as we have already discussed, rupees 10, 25, 100 or so. That is depending on the ability of their saving. So group members can take small amount of loans from this saving to meet their needs. The group charges rate of interest, it is yet low than the informal credit, that is from the money lenders or any other business group which is informal. And this is an important feature of self-help group, that if their saving is regular without any complaint, because they maintain bank account, and in bank account their savings are deposited. So bank sees that in a year or two, 1 year or 2 years, if their saving is regular, so bank allows that group to take loan from bank to meet out their large amount of money requirements, and this also helps in creating self employment with that money. Next is small amount of loans are provided to the members of releasing mortgage. Mortgage means whenever they take loan from informal credit or formal credit, they give something as collateral, as guarantee, and that is then lapsed when a loan is not repaid. So from self-help group they take this much amount, and they make their mortgaged or collateral released from the credit source. Another thing, that farmers in this regard, farmers also make these small groups like self-help groups, so they can buy seeds, they can buy fertilizers, some other raw materials, some other agriculture equipments, some that is house materials like sewing machines, handloom, kettle, etc., mulching kettle, etc., for further development. Most of another point is that most of the decisions regarding their saving and loan activities are decided by the group members. This is also important for 1 mark, that who decides the loan activities of a self-help group. It is decided by the group members only. No other outside person is allowed to interfere. So, and the last point to this is that in case of non-payment, it is little bit problem. This point says that in case if payment is not repaid, then members, other members of the group follow it seriously, and due to this reason, then banks are means avoid such groups to provide loans, etc. also. So this is what is the self-help group. And the last article of this chapter is Grameen banks in Bangladesh. It is important for 1 mark question. 1 mark question is asked based on Grameen bank. Grameen bank in Bangladesh is one of the biggest success story in helping the poor to meet their credit needs, loan needs at reasonable rates. Grameen banks in Bangladesh started in 1970s, and they were initiated by Professor Muhammad Yunus as a small project. Then after that, Professor Muhammad Yunus was given Nobel Prize also for this cause. In 2018, in what is the development, what is the success of Grameen bank in Bangladesh? In 2018, about 9 million borrowers, that 9 million people have taken loan from Grameen banks, and in all over Bangladesh, about 81,600 villages throughout Bangladesh. These so many villages are means linked with Grameen banks, and 9 million people. And most of the last point of Grameen bank is that most of these borrowers belong to the poor community and women. There is also that poor community and women. So that's all from this video. Thank you very much. Keep on watching.